If you hold Ripple XRP, something is seriously wrong with how people are thinking about the markets right now. Bears are saying that the recent XRP pump up to 55 cents is a scam pump, and many folks have left comments about how the 2024 bull market is canceled. Many are sidelined wondering if the latest bull move is actually just a trap before a major move down. In this video, I'll answer and address those concerns and explain how this might actually be the bottom before a new all-time high in the crypto markets. I'll also be covering the current events surrounding this past weekend's assassination attempt and how it might have ignited the flame on a renewed bull market, and some really strange information surrounding Trump's would-be assassin that reeks of inside job. How J.D. Vance, the Trump vice presidential candidate pick, seems like an odd pick, and it has an interesting history of smack-talking Trump, but we'll cover why he may just be the best possible pick for your crypto bags. Finally, we'll be covering the most recent price action, the traditional financial markets, alongside some on-chain analytics to paint a clear picture of what's likely to come over the upcoming months and into the end of 2024. So stay tuned so you can make your own informed decisions on what to do with your portfolio. Before we dive in, a quick reminder that the opinions in this video are for informational and educational purposes only and do not constitute financial, legal, or investment advice. All investments, including cryptos, carry risks and potential losses. Always do your own research and consult with a licensed financial advisor. We are not licensed financial advisors, and relying on our content for financial decisions is at your own risk. By watching this video, you agree we are not responsible for any losses or damages, and we do not guarantee any specific results or outcomes. Some of the links below may be affiliate links, and we may earn a commission, which actually helps support this channel and helps us to create value-based videos like this. We also hold some positions in the cryptocurrencies that we talk about, but that's only because we do what we believe in. However, this should not be interpreted as a recommendation for you to do the same. With that said, let's get into the video. How's it going, bull runners? Welcome back to the channel. And as you can see here, we have the market cap of XRP, and this is over a monthly time frame. While we were ranging in that 45 to 47 cent range, we were actually chilling at about a $26.7 billion market cap. And then when things went relatively sour and everything dumped, and XRP dumped to about 38 cents not too long ago, the market cap dumped to about $22.2 billion at the low. And again, this is actually considered a good opportunity when you think about this being the 7th largest crypto by market cap, and that's after stable coins. So, there's a major opportunity when you really think about the fact that this type of a product, something like XRP, could hit $1 trillion market cap in the future. There's a lot of room for growth. But just over the weekend and through the attempted Trump assassination and into present day, the market cap has actually climbed closer to about $30 billion, putting on another $8 billion. But why did that happen? Well, let's cover the assassination real quick and explain why that might have actually been a very positive thing for markets, as weird as that sounds. On July 15th, an article was posted by CNN Business saying that the Dow closed at a record high after Trump survived an assassination attempt. And that would feel like a little bit out of the norm considering the levels of uncertainty that people might have and the fear surrounding, a coup or some sort of a civil war type scenario. But markets just shrugged it off and started rallying anyways. The Dow rose 211 points or 0.5%, closing at a fresh record high. That comes after the blue chip index hit a fresh all-time high on Friday and edged back above 40,000 following encouraging inflation data. And here's what they had to say about it. A Trump win in November likely means the preservation or expansion of tax cuts and increased tariffs. Morgan Stanley research estimates that an expansion of the 2017 tax cuts would boost deficits sharply. A second Trump presidency would mean expansionary economic stimulus in general, lower income taxes, less regulation, and increased tariffs. And as one legendary trader once said, never bet against a Republican. Republicans are typically more expansionary in economic situations, and they're a little bit more loose on taxes. And then the opposite can be said about left-leaning politicians. So typically markets like a Republican, even though, people might not like a Republican from the human perspective. From the market perspective, they love them. And Trump's resilience and ability to get up and shout, fight, 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 I think really stirred the pot there. And people got excited about the fact that he looks far stronger than the other presidential candidate, Joe Biden. Still, this thing is fresh, and there's a lot of new incoming information surrounding all of the events of that day, and I want to cover them just a little bit. This is an article from the Wall Street Journal, and it states mystery around the Trump shooter deepens. And boy, has there been a lot of mystery. Here is a photo of Matthew Thomas Crooks, or Thomas Matthew Crooks. And in this article, they state, in Crooks' sedan parked near the rally, authorities found 2 explosives and a ballistic carrier or vest with 3 30-round mags in it. The official said an indication that he might have wanted to cause greater carnage. He also had hidden another bomb in his bedroom in his family's home. The discovery suggests Crooks had a plan, but early indications are that he kept it to himself. Crooks appears to have acted alone. And honestly, that is just kind of shocking. The fact that he would know at a rally like that, at a high point of interest such as that building, which we're going to dive into a little bit further, and how it was actually used as a base and where officers were already stationed. He seems to know that nobody would be there. He was able to set up a ladder. He was able to hang out for minutes on end when sights were on him, when police officers knew that he was up there. Things are really odd in this story. For a young man who had just finished his teenage years, Crooks left a surprisingly limited record online. And that's where things get a little bit more interesting, because typically when someone is radicalized and is full of vengeful, thoughts and hate towards, any political party, or in this case, Donald Trump, they would leave some sort of a manifesto. They typically have social media, especially at, his age. It's extremely rare that he wouldn't have a single record online that they could really find. 3 cyber intelligence analysts asked the Wall Street Journal to search for Crooks's online footprint, found little. And this is where things get hard in terms of trusting these agencies that are there to investigate. According to the New York Times, Thomas Matthew Crooks has no criminal record, but according to the FBI, he has no ID. So, and that's what's weird, right? He doesn't even have an ID. So they identified him using DNA and biometric data, right? So here's this kid who actually drove there, probably would have likely had an ID, and he also doesn't have an ID. Using DNA and biometric data, why and how does the government have access to the DNA and biometric data of someone that isn't a criminal? Is this an admission that the government has DNA and biometric data on all or most Americans? What legal basis is there for this? Here's what Jesse Waters has to say about the situation.
But we still have a lot of questions. And the feds, possibly on purpose, are making this more confusing. Even though NBC reports that the Secret Service had flagged that white-roofed building as a security vulnerability, the Secret Service saying tonight that they never swept it. They say they relied on local cops to handle it. This building, the American Glass Research Building, is suspicious. ABC reporting that a local police tactical team was using the building as a staging area to watch the crowd. We're also hearing from ABC that Crooks did not use a ladder to reach the roof. So how'd he get up there? Is he Spider-Man? How'd the shooter gain access to a building that local police tactical team was using as a security perch? A CNN report says ABC's wrong. Crooks bought and used the ladder. And if that's true, how did nobody see a man carrying a rifle and a ladder walk to a building that law enforcement was using to guard the president? Sources tell former Secret Service agent Dan Bongino that police were chasing the shooter around before he got near the roof.
Here's another thing I'm hearing from sources, that this subject, they had been monitoring him since he came in around that external perimeter area. This subject who was the shooter. They lost track of him, apparently, and he was hiding in a building about 300 yards away.
Law enforcement lost track of the shooter before he shot the president? How would he outrun police carrying a ladder and a rifle anyway? And if he placed the ladder down against the building and then got chased, why didn't cops seize the ladder so he couldn't climb back up? We asked the Secret Service if the shooter was chased by law enforcement, and they told us they, quote, believe local police had interactions with the subject. But local police are pushing back. They say their job was just traffic duty. Pennsylvania State Police telling us they weren't responsible for securing the building or property. So the Secret Service is pointing their fingers at the locals, and the locals are pointing their fingers back.
And that's where things are really weird and interesting. It seems like nobody wants to take responsibility for this. And then you have to ask the question, is this even possible? Or are both agencies beyond negligent, right? Did they actually screw up that bad at one of the most important people in the world? Or was it intentional? Here's a post from Olivia Rinaldi. One of the snipers inside saw Crooks outside, looking up at the roof, observing the building, and then disappeared, according to local law enforcement. Then Crooks came back, sat down, and was looking on his phone, and at that point, one of the snipers took a picture of him. Then Crooks took out a rangefinder, one of those things that shows you how far away a target is so you can adjust your sights, your scope for a rifle. And the sniper radioed to the command post. Crooks disappeared again and then came back a third time with a backpack. The snipers called in with information that he had a backpack and said he was walking towards the back of the building. Think about how many interactions that these people had with a serious potential threat. And yet somehow they had their sights on him. We know they had their sights on him, and they still allowed this kid to take a shot, and not just a shot, 4 to 5 shots before they fired back. Sean responded, Secret Service had snipers inside the building the assassin used. They took pictures of him. They watched him pull out a rangefinder to get his exact distance to Trump. They radioed the Secret Service command post about the assassin. They all knew he was there. Who gave the order to do nothing until after the assassin shot Trump, killed an innocent man on that stage, and fired round after round after round? It's just starting to smell a bit fishy. There's no way that these people that are highly trained professionals are this incompetent. Then you have to start to ask more questions. And I think the worst part of it all is the fact that it just so happened that the shooter is the only person in the entire country without any social media or online footprint whatsoever. And this is pretty typical of operatives. And we're not going to say that this kid was obviously an operative, but he looked young and impressionable and was bullied and fit the bill to be influenced potentially. And the FBI, after the whole minutes of effort, just couldn't figure out how to crack his phone. What a series of very strange coincidences. And we may never get to the bottom of this story and know the full truth, just like we don't know the full truth of the JFK files, but it's highly likely the CIA had involvement in his assassination. Ultimately, what we do know is that this kid is probably not the only person in this world that does want to kill Donald Trump and would have a vested interest in killing Donald Trump before he picked his vice presidential candidate for a brand new ticket. Still, many people in Washington don't like J.D. Vance. And we're talking rhinos, we're talking people on the left. You can go scroll through Twitter for days and find all of the people that you probably don't like as politicians also don't like him, which is probably a good thing, right? If the political elite don't like you, you're probably doing something right. However, it is kind of strange that he would pick someone like J.D. Vance when this is his history.
As somebody who doesn't like Trump, myself, the elites were right about Donald Trump, right? I'm a never Trump guy. I never liked him.
He's the best best president of my lifetime, and he revealed the corruption in this country like nobody else.
I can't stomach Trump. I think that he's noxious and is leading the white working class to a very dark place.
I think that he was a good president. I think he made a lot of good decisions for people.
I take it you're not a Trump supporter from what I've read. Am I right? Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, I didn't vote for Trump.
All around, he was a great president. I'm 37 years old. Certainly the best president of my lifetime.
And so, we can't blame the guy for what he said back in 2016. Probably, obviously younger at the time, trying to make a name for himself in Washington. You've got to play the politics. You've got to roll with the people who are going to get you the votes you need, the money you need to win elections and campaigning. But at the end of the day, right, this just screams that this guy is a flip-flopper, right? He'll change his mind whenever it serves him best. So obviously he's going to go and support Donald Trump if it means that he can move up in terms of the rank and power in Washington. Now, that said, maybe he is legit. Maybe he's a good dude. And I would argue, Trump has a lot of info and intel. However, it's also fair to say that he's not the best judge of character when he picked Mike Pence his first time around, who turned on him near to the end of his last presidency. However, I will say J.D. Vance is totally pro crypto, and this could be extremely bullish for your crypto bags, alongside the fact that Trump actually freaking lived, and he's going to Bitcoin 2024 here this month, and he's even stated that he's very pro crypto and very anti CBDC. So it remains to be seen if they actually accomplish any goals in that path, but ultimately if they're going to stand on it, I think they'll do it. And here is a video of J.D. Vance basically crapping on Gary Gensler and the SEC.
If there's a candidate for worst person, in my view, at least in terms of my substantive disagreements, I'm sure he's like a nice guy, is Gary Gensler. Okay, so Gary Gensler is sort of the complete opposite of my view. And there are two problems that I have with Gary, one of which is that I think he wants to inject politics way too much into the actual business of securities in the United States of America. But in some ways, the more fundamental issue, or at least the most relevant issue for this particular conference is the approach that Gary has taken to regulating blockchain and crypto seems to be almost the exact opposite of what it should be. And I'm oversimplifying a little bit, but the question the SEC seems to ask in regulating crypto is this a token with utility? And if it's a token with utility, then they seem to want to ban it. And if it's a token without utility, they don't seem to care. I almost think we should be the opposite here, right? I worry about financialization. I worry about, frankly, whether a lot of the crypto stuff is fundamentally fake. But if a token actually has utility, that's the sort of thing that, by all means, regulate it. By all means, be careful about, how consumers interact with it. But you don't want to just get rid of this stuff. And here's where I really, really worry about this is a lot of the newest challengers to the social media incumbents of 2024 are going to require some blockchain technology to make their business work.
And earlier this year, on February 7th, Vance led a handful of other Republican senators in penning a letter to Gensler. And here's what the letter had to say. We'll just read the highlights here. We write to express our concerns regarding developments in the Securities and Exchange Commission enforcement proceedings against Digital Licensing Inc., also known as Debtbox, which is a blockchain, technology company. It is unconscionable that any federal agency, especially one regularly involved in highly consequential legal procedures, and one that, under your leadership, speaking to Gensler, has often pursued its regulatory mission through, and this is important, this is exactly what they did to XRP, this is exactly what they've done to every other player in the blockchain and crypto game, regulatory mission through enforcement actions rather than rulemakings, could operate in such an unethical and unprofessional manner. So it's kind of like this, right? Imagine you're a child in your parents' home, and one day you're just out and about doing your thing, and they come to the room and they say, go to the room, and they spank the crap out of you. And you're like, what the heck is going on? And they're telling you, you did this wrong, you did that wrong, you did that wrong. And then you're like, but I didn't know I did that wrong. You never told me what the rules were in this household. And that's exactly what the SEC has consistently been doing. They've been taking a scorched earth approach. Regardless of whether the commission staff deliberately misinterpreted evidence or unknowingly presented false information, So think about that. In both cases, that's ridiculous for a federal agency. This case suggests other enforcement cases brought by the commission may be deserving of scrutiny. It is difficult to maintain confidence that other cases are not predicated upon dubious evidence, obfuscations, or outright misrepresentations. Needless to say, JD Vance seems to be very pro-crypto. Just how pro-crypto? Well, Vance owns between $100,000 and $250,000 in Bitcoin on the cryptocurrency exchange Coinbase, according to the financial disclosure by Vance last year. And he is the first Bitcoin holder on the presidential ticket. And here are his actual shares in gold ETF, Charles Schwab, Bitcoin, Robinhood. I mean, this man is younger. He's more with the times. He seems to be involved in the things that we're involved in. And so it's actually pretty exciting to see this side of Vance. That said, it explains why Bitcoin and the majority of crypto markets have really been rallying since the weekend on July 13th to present day. We're up about 12% on the week, and as of current, about 9% in terms of Bitcoin. And ultimately, people like certainty. They like to know whether someone is going to win a race or lose it that could affect policy and the crypto market. So if people are pretty confident that we're going to have a very positive and bullish environment for crypto and markets in general, then they might be more likely to proactively invest in all markets across the board. And that would include Bitcoin. When we look at the asset inflows as of July 15, 2024 from the ETPs at CoinShares, you can see that we have about a 1.44 billion inflows, which is actually the 5th largest weekly inflows on record. And you can see that it'd be right about here. We have about $1.44 billion, which is actually pretty big. And if you know anything about how institutions typically invest, right, they're typically buying when you're selling and they're selling when you're buying. And so what really happened here is we had a intermediate term downtrend, right? We had a series of highs right here that failed to break to the upside. We had a low right here that we broke below, and then we had a bull trap for a new lower low. And notice how we took out this low right back here, and this was our range low. So let me go ahead and toss a line there. And typically what would happen is into these ranges right around here, people would be very bullish and long, and they'd long the market for some sort of a move to the upside or a break to a new all-time high, only to be trapped in their position and be liquidated below this previous low right here at about $56,000. Well, we did liquidate a lot of folks, and we could look at the order flows, but it would take too much time right now. So we're just going to focus on the price action and this candle right here. You can see that we broke below here and trapped a lot of people to be bearish here, which actually created for a healthy market environment where leverage left the system and it allowed Bitcoin room to grow. Then you add the bullish, positive news of Donald Trump surviving a potential assassination, and now his, pro-crypto vice presidential candidate, JD Vance. All of this just screams bullish. And so I would thoroughly expect this move to continue at least back to the upside, and it remains to be seen where we see some sort of a resistance. As of right now, we have the majority of volume traded at about the $67,000 level. So it remains to be seen whether we actually get to the $67,000 level and then break back down. But I would like to see a consistent support above that 20 EMA. And so what I would do is I would pull up a daily time frame. I would toss 20 and 10 EMA on there. And as you can see here, we've actually got a little pop right back above. This orange line would be the 20 EMA. And you notice how we were bearish throughout this entire range. And the blue line is the 10 EMA. And now we're about to get a crossover on those two faster moving averages. The price is above that range. And so even if we're supported somewhere in this $60,000 level, we're still in now a healthy territory. right? We're well above our previous range support right here at 60,000. We're definitely above the range support right here at 56,000. We liquidated a lot of folks and cleared the system of a lot of leverage. So even a pullback to $60,000 would be a good buying opportunity. Looking at the on-chain data, you can see right here that this red line would indicate when miners are actually getting rid of their Bitcoin. So miners are the people that sustain the network, and basically they solve a lot of mathematical transactions in return for Bitcoin, right? And so they're using their energy and power to secure the network. They get Bitcoin as a reward, and most of them, because they're, they have expenses and they have costs, and they're also trying to speculate in the market, they will either hold their Bitcoin because they believe it's going higher, or sell their Bitcoin because they need the money to operate and they're worried that the price is going to decline. And so as you can see here, when we started reaching this $60,900 level, they actually started selling in mass their Bitcoin, and they sold a boatload more here at 72,300, and they had the least amount of Bitcoin right through that range. We'll go ahead and pull that back up. And so then they continued selling and liquidating Bitcoin all the way through these major highs that you see here. And now for the first time, they're actually holding on to their Bitcoin. And so the amount of Bitcoin that miners are holding is relatively flat, and I would argue is going to start trending to the upside. And as you can see, it has been here, which is a good sign that they also believe, right, that the price is going to start climbing again. And I'll give you one last piece of on-chain analysis. So this green line is the price of Bitcoin, and this is a very familiar pattern. As you can see here, we had the dump to about 53K. And this red line right here is the percentage of stablecoins total supply held by whales with more than $5 million. So anyone with $5 million, okay, the more they hold stable coins, basically, the higher the percentage this goes up, right, the more likely that they're taking profits and staying out of the market. Whenever you get a dump like this, that's typically indicative that they are deploying capital because they see higher highs coming. And as you can see here, they actually held and continued to add to their stablecoin supply all the way through a $58,000 level. And then right around here, they deployed a boatload of capital, and this metric dropped tremendously, indicating that a boatload of whales have now entered the market. So when we see a healthy market for Bitcoin, then the odds are XRP is also going to look healthy. And that's exactly what's played out on the XRP chart. As you can see here, we broke down to about 38 cents, and that was pretty predictable. We were actually making that call for a while, considering that's where the majority of volume was traded through a long period of time. As you can see here, we have a major range of support and a cliff of support in terms of trading volume right here at the 38-cent range. So I'm going to toss a line right there. Then when you look at the actual chart and the price action, you can see that we had a major sell-off and a wick before a support and a move to the upside, another wick, right, and then a move to the upside, only for a failed break out, and then the move to the downside as of late. However, I'm just going to put a line right there. And this would be my major range of support for XRP if things remain relatively bullish. If we ever moved back into this range, I'd be very tempted to deploy a boatload of capital. However, I don't see us moving all the way back down here unless, of course, the market actually turns into a full-fledged bear, but that is not in the cards as of right now. Everything is looking extremely bullish. So this would be my major range of support. Then if I go ahead and pull up 10 and 20 EMA, you can actually see that XRP is actually tracking and trading ahead of Bitcoin. Even when I pull up the chart, let's take a 4-hour time frame. I'm going to turn that off. I'm going to pull up Bitcoin. I'll put it on a percentage scale. And you can see that from this local bottom right down here, Bitcoin is only up 16.7%, whereas XRP is up a whopping 36.72%. And this entire last bull market and cycle from 2021 down to present day, XRP has actually seen less volatility overall, with a few major moves in between, right? But a lot of ranging in a parallel channel. And then XRP underperformed Bitcoin and the majority of altcoins, and that was because they were being sued by the SEC. Well, now it seems that XRP is outperforming Bitcoin by a large margin. And what could have caused that? And although I have access to sentiment, I'm just going to let this article explain it, and then we'll actually look at the metric directly from sentiment. The chart shows that a large cryptocurrency whale, which holds between 10 million and 100 million XRP, has accumulated approximately an equivalent 300 million in XRP between July 12th and 15th. And here would be the metric. So the on-chain data from Sentiment Feed reveals that the large Ripple wallet investors purchased 300 million XRP between these dates. And again, very indicative of the fact that a local bottom is in. You typically want to be in and move with the institutional players. You never really want to trade against them. So it seems that the local bottom is in. A lot of leverage left the system. We are reset for a new move to the upside in a new bull market move. That being said, if you enjoyed the video and you learned something, go ahead and smash that subscribe button. Like the video, let us know what you think down in the comments below, and head over to bullrunners.com and you can click on that in the link down below in the bio, or you can just go to bullrunners.com to get early access to our underground guidebook to become a crypto millionaire. So thanks so much for watching the video, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.